All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of corporate gifting and branding.
Hmm.
And we're focusing on a company that's really shaking things up. It's called Mandaala.
Hmm.
We've got their website up here, and
Very interesting company.
it's pretty fascinating, the stuff they're doing. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You're in charge of onboarding new employees or planning a big company event,
Right.
or maybe you just,
Hmm.
you want to make sure your brand stays top of mind
Yeah, sure.
with clients.
Yeah.
All that stuff can be a real headache.
It can be. It can be.
But this is where Mandala comes in.
They
The-
try to
the-
make it easier, right?
Yeah, they really seem to be simplifying things in a big way.
Well, what's interesting to me is, they don't just say, hey, let's slap a logo on a pen and call it a day. Like, they've really gone beyond that whole...
Oh, for sure. It's so much more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, so they've positioned themselves as like this full-blown solution for businesses and handle everything, like
Right.
from the designing of products,
Mm-hmm.
sourcing them,
Yeah.
warehousing, logistics, all the way to delivery.
I'm seeing that on their website, and I'm impressed. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like they've figured out how to streamline everything with tech,
Yeah, well, they're very tech forward.
which makes sense, right, in this day and age.
They talk about their SaaS platform, APIs, like
So-
the whole 9 yards.
Integration with all kinds of existing systems.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're using some kind of employee management software
Yeah.
that can all just plug right in, that's got to be a game changer for their clients.
All about making things easy,
Yeah.
efficient,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
getting rid of those manual tasks that nobody wants to do.
Totally. And, they even mentioned
Yeah.
they're ISO 27771 certified.
Mm-hmm.
So they take data security really seriously.
Right. Which is a big deal nowadays.
Huge deal, especially when you're dealing with all sorts of employee information.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it sounds like they've got the tech side of things totally nailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
Hmm.
we're still talking about, like, company swag and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Right.
So what makes their stuff stand out?
Well, it's really about the whole experience they create.
Okay.
They're not just about giving out random stuff. They're thinking about how it all fits together. Like, think about onboarding new employees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, instead of just giving them, a bunch of random stuff,
Right.
they're creating these really elaborate joining kits
Oh, wow.
that are designed to, like, really make an impression,
Oh,
make
yeah.
them feel like,
So it's like a welcome package,
yeah,
but one that actually gets you excited about working there.
exactly. Yeah, and they do that for all kinds of stakeholders, not just employees, but
Oh, interesting.
dealers, sales teams, even customers. It's
Oh.
all about,
Wow.
figuring out what each group needs and then tailoring that experience to them.
I like that. That's a nice touch.
They even work with companies on print stationery.
Like the basics,
Basic.
business cards, letterheads, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So it really is a one-stop shop for all your branding needs.
So, I mean, it sounds like they're covering all the bases,
Mm-hmm.
but, their website looks great and all.
Yeah.
But do they actually deliver on their promises?
Yeah.
What are their clients saying about them?
Well, I mean, first of all, their client list is pretty impressive.
Who they work with?
They've got some big names on there like Infosys,
Okay.
Capgemini,
Yeah.
HDFC Bank, and
Wow. So they're definitely working with some serious companies.
if you look at their testimonials, the feedback is really positive.
Like, what are people saying specifically?
They're really happy with the quality of the merchandise.
Okay.
They say the customer service is great,
Good to hear.
and they find the platform really easy to use.
So it sounds like they're not just all talk.
No, not at all. Like,
Right.
there's a testimonial from Epigemia, and their manager talks about how Mandaala helped them organize a Diwali celebration for their employees.
Oh,
And they were really happy with the whole experience.
that's great.
The gifts were delivered on time, everything was in perfect condition, and everyone loved them.
Sounds like a win-win.
It does.
And I also saw on their website, they highlight a story about Siemens India
Mm-hmm.
and how they used Mandala's platform to set up a branded web store for their employees.
Oh, yeah, that's
So employees could, like,
Yeah.
order company merchandise, even personalize it.
That's a great example of how they can adapt to different needs.
Yeah.
Like, whether you're a big corporation like Siemens
Yeah.
or a smaller business,
Yeah.
they've got options for you.
It's really interesting how they're blending, the physical and digital worlds to create these engaging experiences.
Yeah, that's clever.
And remember that thing about Capgemini we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
They actually had Mandala create custom driver's licenses
I
for
mean-
their consultants and clients.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea.
And they even incorporated their company's core principles into the design.
I love that.
So creative.
It shows they're really thinking outside the box when it comes to branded merchandise.
Yeah, it's not just about handing out some generic gift, you know?
Yeah.
It's about finding these creative ways to reinforce the company's identity.
Right, enter value.
It makes you wonder, like, how far can they take this? What are the limits to creating these kinds of meaningful experiences?
It's a good question, and one that maybe we can explore a little further
Definitely.
as we dig deeper into Mandaala's approach.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear more.
So let's
Let's keep going. It really seems like Mandala is onto something here. Like this whole idea of bringing back
Yeah,
those personal touches, especially in a world that's becoming, so digital.
right.
It's almost like a counterbalance to all the screen time we have.
It is. That's a great point. I think that's why those tangible expressions of appreciation, whether it's like, a thoughtful gift or just a gesture, can really have an impact.
Absolutely. And, from a purely practical standpoint,
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much time and energy companies waste trying to manage all this stuff themselves.
Oh, I know.
In-house. It's like
Just-
spreadsheets, emails,
Yeah.
vendor calls.
So much back and forth.
This sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It can be, yeah. And that's really where Mandaala's tech-driven approach shines.
Yeah.
They're taking all those complicated processes like,
Like what?
the sourcing, the customization, the warehousing, shipping, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're basically automating it.
So companies can actually spend less time, bogged down in all that admin work.
Right.
And more time actually focusing on building those relationships with their stakeholders.
Yeah, it frees them up to focus on what matters.
That's huge. I mean, that's got to be a huge selling point.
It is. And you also get, increased efficiency, fewer errors, their digital workflows, and
Yeah.
real-time tracking, make sure everything runs smoothly and transparently.
So you can
Yeah.
see where your order is at any given moment.
Yep.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I bet clients love that,
They do. They love having that control and insight.
especially when it comes to managing budgets.
Oh, absolutely.
No more guessing games.
No more surprises.
But, we touched on data security earlier.
Yeah.
But given how much sensitive information they handle,
Right.
I think it's worth, diving a bit deeper into that.
Sure. It's definitely a key concern.
Yeah.
Remember, they're ISO 2701 certified, which basically means
Yeah.
they meet these really strict international standards for information security management.
It's not just about,
Right.
checking a box, right?
Right.
They're really committed to this stuff.
Yeah, it's about demonstrating a genuine commitment to protecting data.
That peace of mind has got to be a big selling point.
Oh, it is, especially these days with data breaches happening all the time.
It seems like every other week
Yeah.
there's another one in the news.
Yeah, it's scary. So having that assurance is essential.
For sure. So it all comes down to trust, right?
It does.
If clients trust that their data is safe, they're more likely to really embrace the platform
Exactly.
and use all its features.
Yeah, and really take advantage of everything it has to offer.
Makes sense, right?
Totally. It's like, you build that foundation of trust and then you can be more creative,
Mm-hmm.
more innovative on top of that.
Absolutely.
So taking a step back for a second,
Okay.
what's the big takeaway here?
Yeah.
What's Mandaala's core message? Beyond just,
Beyond the products themselves.
beyond selling products.
I think it's about recognizing that thoughtful engagement
Yeah.
has real power.
Okay.
Whether you're welcoming new employees or recognizing achievements or just saying thank you.
Yeah.
Mandaala is proving that these gestures, when done right, they can have a real impact.
So it's not just about the stuff itself. It's about how it makes people feel. Exactly. It's about how people perceive a brand, how connected they feel to it.
And they're using technology to, not just make it easier,
Right.
but also more impactful and personalized.
Exactly.
It's a pretty fascinating approach, and I think there are lessons here that,
I agree.
go way beyond the corporate world.
Let's flip this around for a second.
Yeah.
How could you apply Mandaala's approach to
Okay.
your own work in life to create more meaningful interactions?
That's a great question. I guess, could I create a more welcoming onboarding experience for new team members?
Yeah, like maybe with a personalized welcome package
Oh, yeah.
that reflects your company culture.
That's a great idea.
Or what about developing a system for
Yeah.
acknowledging achievements
Yeah.
in a more thoughtful way?
Right.
Moving beyond just generic gifts to something more
Yeah.
unique and personal.
It's about putting that extra bit of thought and effort in
Exactly.
to show people that you appreciate them,
Right.
which can make such a big difference.
It really can.
So for anyone listening who's curious to learn more about Mandaala,
Yeah,
their website is definitely worth checking out.
it is.
They've got tons of info on there, case studies, examples of their work.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
Yeah, it's a great place to start if you're thinking about, upping your gifting and branding game.
Definitely.
But even if you're not, like, actively looking for a company like Mandaala,
Yeah.
their whole approach is still pretty insightful.
Oh, for sure.
It's like there's a real art to creating those wow moments,
Hmm.
those gestures that make people feel, really seen and valued.
It's about going that extra mile.
And it doesn't have to be about spending a ton of money
Right,
or
exactly.
going over the top. It's
Yeah.
more about being intentional,
Yeah.
understanding what really resonates with your audience.
A small, thoughtful gift can be so much more impactful than like a
Yeah.
generic, expensive one.
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Mandaala today, what's like the one key takeaway we want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. In a world that's becoming, increasingly dominated by these digital interactions,
Yeah.
don't underestimate the power of that human connection, especially in a business setting.
It's so true. Whether it's, a
Yeah.
well-chosen gift, a handwritten note, or even just taking the time to,
Mm.
express genuine appreciation.
Those small acts of connection can really make a difference.
They can strengthen relationships, build loyalty,
Yeah,
create a more positive and engaging experience for everybody involved.
absolutely.
And, who knows, maybe this will even inspire some of our listeners to do their own, like
Yeah.
little deep dive into the art of meaningful engagement.
I hope so.
Well, that's it for our deep dive today. We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of Mandaala with us.
Thanks for listening.
And until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those connections strong.